Hey yo guys, I'm back again with another review, and this time it's of 2010's. What do you think it is? It's Predators. Yeah, look at that. Do you know what? I've seen number one and two, and I'd never seen this. I was able to get this in Best Buy a few months ago for $4.99 with the slipcover and everything. And I can't believe I hadn't seen it because this movie is awesome. I'm literally saying awesome. If I could give this movie a 7 out of 5, I would, because I love it. It's so good. The action, the whole thing is amazing. Even though different people would classify it as a horror, it's a sci-fi action adventure, I guess. But it's also got horror elements in it. It's also based, it's horror basically to a degree. It's kind of not now, but I guess the first time it was on, it was like when Predator was on. In my view, that was a horror. But I don't know. Anyway, it's in the horror section. So it said Robert Rodriguez presents, and I thought this is Robert Rodriguez film, but it's not. It's directed by Nimrod Nimrod Antal. What a name, Nimrod Antal. That director was a right Nimrod. Well, anyway, before I sound like a knob. It stars Adrian Brody's voice. Actually, his name in its voice, not voice. My new man crush, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Topher Grace as Edwin, Alice Braga as Isabel, Walton Goggins, aka Clyde Boyd Crowder. No, that's in Justified, but in this he plays Stans. Oleg Taktarov, who is called Nikolai in this, but he was, I don't know if people know this, but he was the UFC 6 champion back in the early days when it was completely violent. Before these rules, like no gouging and all that rubbish, he won UFC 6 and was the champion. Lawrence Fishburne, who plays Nolan's. Lawrence Fishburne's got a great career. He was the Silver Surfer in Rise of the Silver Surfer. Not good. Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer. He was in CSI, but not anymore, so I guess they realised he was terrible in that. He was in Boys in the Hood, Just Cause. What was the other one? Oh, he was in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 as well, Dream Warriors. Danny Trejo. We all know Danny Trejo, probably in like 12 to 20 movies a year. Mark for Death, Machete Kills, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Desperado, you could name millions. Luis Ozawa Ching, I've never heard of that bloke. And I'm not even going to say this guy's name. The bloke who plays Mombasi's name is Mahershala Ali. I might have said that wrong. But I'm glad it hasn't got the name he was credited as. It says credited as Mahershala Hashbazaleh. What a name. I probably said all that wrong as well, That's one thing I hate about foreign names. Not because they're long or that, but because when you try and say them, you always get them wrong when you're like English or American or something. And you always feel like you're insulting the people because you're not saying their name properly, Anyway, so the movie starts out right from the action, right? So basically, Adrian Brody's falling from the sky as soon as it starts, and you're like, woohoo! And basically, this light goes on his back because he tries to pull something, but he doesn't. The light goes through it, and he goes flying in the air. So he lands, and he thinks he's the only one. Then basically, Isabel lands, Edwin lands, Stans lands, Nikolai lands, and basically, Danny Trejo lands, and basically, they all start threatening each other, and they have like a fight, like, oh no, stop shooting at me, stop doing this, stop doing that. And Stans and Mombasa, they're fighting somewhere else, and they basically bump into them. And basically, let me tell you, because I wrote it down, who all these people are. So where is it? Where did I put it? There it is. Okay, so Royce is a mercenary. Isabel's from the military. The Russian soldier Nikolai. The San Quentin criminal is Stans. The Sierra Leone military is Mombasa. The drug lord is Cuchillo, who's basically Danny Trejo. There's Yakuza hitman Hanzo, and the Doctor Edwin, basically. So they're basically the main characters in this movie. Now they argue because they don't know where they are. They ask each other like, "Do you think we're in China, Africa? You know, in the forest, kind of thing." And soon enough, they come across a trap. Now this trap's amazing. Now I was sitting there going, "How comes none of these people died?" It was like amazing. So apparently the bloke who they find dead with a big massive gaping hole in his chest is the bloke who made it. If he made that, wow, he should have been an engineer. That's all I'm gonna say. Because that bloke was awesome at doing that. But so they go on their merrily way, and all of a sudden they hear something, and these monster dog looking things come chasing towards them. Now, when I say monster dog things, I mean they look like predator dogs, but like different. There's no word for it. I've got no idea what they're called. I'm sure in the comics they've got names or something, but I don't know what they're called. So the first two get killed pretty easy. Then like 6 of them turn up. They're running at them, and Isabel says Topher Grace from one. Is it right? And yeah, Topher Grace from one. And she shoots it with the sniper, amazingly so. Walter Goggins is on the floor like this, and Mombasa kills one and saves him. It's just awesome. And there's this bit where it's just Royce. I keep saying Royce because of Royce Gracie. Royce, and the thing's about to get him, and he just goes and cuts it, and you're like, wow, Adrian Brody's such a badass in this movie, and that's the beginning, right? So you're sitting there, and you're like, wow. And Isabel's just about to shoot herself in the head because she thinks she's done for, when basically it gets called back. One of them, the last living one, gets called back. And Royce says this. He says it was to bring us out, to know where we are, to separate us, because this is a game. They're playing a game with us. Yeah. Well, Chuchillo, the drug cartel lord, he ran off. He got caught and basically he's bait. So he's sitting on the floor going, help me. And Adrian Brody goes, it's a trap, and throws something, and his fingers. So basically they go off, and Isabel goes, I can't leave him, and she shoots him. What she doesn't realise is he's already dead. And that it's one of the predators playing a recording of his voice. When she shoots him and she hears him talking again, she gets really, really creeped out. Yeah. I was like, yeah. So then she ends up running off with him, and basically they end up jumping off a thing because they get chased. And Edwin basically gets chased by a creature that they find originally in a cage. And then they basically end up in like this thing from they get out of the water. And Adrian Brody, Royce, says, we need to lead them into an ambush and shoot them and beat them. Because they find out that they're not actually on Earth, because they see all these different planets in the sky. And he goes back and the sun hasn't changed and all that, because he can tell, because he's a mercenary. And let me tell you this, Royce is an amazing mercenary. By the way, the kick-ass mercenary, I'd hire him. So they're running around, and while they're going through the forest, they're looking. They get the creature dead, which they said when, and this predator turns up with its gun pointed at Royce, and he goes, "What do you want?" And it lifts the mask off, and it turns out to be Lawrence Fishburne as Noland. And you're sitting there going, "Woohoo, Noland!" And he basically can turn himself invisible because he's got one of their pack things. So he takes him back to his place, and you're like, oh, this guy's got some serious issues, because he says he lasted 10 seasons, and he's talking to himself. Now, when you say 10 seasons, you wonder. Has 10 seasons been, you know, like 10 years? Has it been 10 games? Because if it's 10 games, it might not have been that long, and I'll explain why at the end. So they're in there, and basically, all of a sudden, he disappears and he's trying to smoke them so they go unconscious. Because he wants their stuff. And he talks to himself a lot. And you're like, this Lawrence Fishburne character's not bad, it's alright, you know, Nolan's, it's pretty good. And he reckons he's killed 3 predators. So he's doing this, like, and Royce sees him, basically shoots at the thing, and he runs off. He runs off, and then he shoots. And they go, that was a good idea. It didn't do anything. And Royce goes, it wasn't meant to. It's meant to call in the cavalry, basically the predators who are trying to hunt them. Because in his mind, he was like, they don't want them to die of smoke problems or fire because they want to hunt them. Yeah. And you see this oh. So anyway, I'll talk more about it in case I missed it earlier. So then basically Nolan runs off, and the predator goes like this at him, and he goes, "You finally found me, then," and he gets blown to smithereens by this badass predator. Now, when I say badass, I mean it's a massive, massive predator. And earlier on, Nolan actually says to him that there's big predators, and then there's the small predators, and the big predators kill the small ones because it's like a feud. It's told me that there's actually 2 different predator cultures, which meant that there's 2 breeds possibly, which means there could be a future kind of storyline about the predators against each other. A bit like Alien versus Predator, but the predators. Like in the Daleks, in Doctor Who, they had the Imperialists, and then they had the normal ones, and the Imperialists always hated the normal ones. But anyway, so they get out and they're running, and basically Edwin gets lost. And he goes, guys, where are you going? I'm lost. You need to get me out of here. They decide to leave. And he throws a torch thing, you know, one of those flares. He throws a flare. And it actually hits the predator. And he goes, oh no. And Nikolai goes back, grabs hold of him and shoots the predator. And as they run out, they go down the chute thing. And Edwin and Nikolai run off, and Edwin runs off more, but Nikolai stays. And then he decides to run off, and he gets shot in the back by the predator, the big one. The big one. I wonder what it's called. I think it's called Tracker Predator, I think. Because I wasn't sure, but it seems like the Tracker one. So, as the predator picks him up, Edwin runs away. Like a coward. Yeah. Like a coward. And basically, Nikolai gets the thing for his stomach, and he's lifted up in the air by the predator. And it's not the big one like you think it is. It's a different one. Right? So he says something in Russian like you're UFO or something, you know. And he pulls open his chest thing, and he's got a mine on his stomach. And he blows them both up. And you're like, yeah, Nikolai. Woohoo! Yeah! This movie gets better and better and better. So they're running out. And they get up. And basically the flames go through the thing. And I'm like, this is CGI flames. But then the real flames are up there when, you know, it cuts back. So like, oh, thank God for that. Well, Walton Goggins gets shot in the back by another predator. And you're like, bloody hell. And he's about to shoot Adrian Brody, Royce, when Stans jumps on and starts stabbing him. Right? And this has got to be one of the coolest deaths ever. Right? And the predator stabs him in the back, pulls out his spine and his skull and holds it up like, Argh! And you're like, what? Yeah. Awesome. Oh, awesome. So, they're getting chased along. And the predator chases as well. Because the big one turns up as well. So you see both of them together. And what I liked about the predators were they were all different. all three of them were different. So you could kind of tell them apart. Like one had a bit of his face kind of showing, as the other two were completely covered. And there's a bit where Hanzo, is it? Yeah, Hanzo. When he's in Nolan's, he finds a sword, and he takes it with him. And you're thinking, And then they run across this field, and I'll tell you, this field reminded me of Japan, because they ran across it, and Hanzo just stopped, and he turned around, and there was the Predator, and he went like this to Royce and that, and they carried on running, right? And he pulls out the sword, and he has like a sword fight with the Predator. The Predator has obviously that big blade, and get this, it's awesome. I loved it. It reminded me of Japanese samurai movies. It's not long, but it reminded me of it, because you find out that Hanzo is full on Yakuza. He's got, I think, 2 or 3 fingers missing. And there's a bit in it where I think it's Edwin goes to him, somewhere in the movie, he goes to him, why don't you talk? And he goes, because I talk too much, and shows his fingers, which means he had to cut them off, because he's a Yakuza. And there's this big tattoo on his back. And you're like, because he takes his shirt off to do the fight, because that's the Japanese way of Yakuza, I'm guessing. And they have this thing, and he kills the bloody Predator. He kills it, but in the end, he gets killed as well, because he got hurt as well. But it's like, that leaves one Predator left. One. Now, earlier in the movie, somewhere, because I forgot about this for a split second, they see the original Predator from the original movie tied up. Is not the original one, because he's dead. But I mean, you know, the original look of the Predator. And it goes like this, and all that, and you think, okay, all right. So they're running through the thing, and Edwin, Topher Grace, gets caught by a trap in his foot, and he can't stand up on it, right? And so Royce says, we've got to leave him. We need to rig him, and we need to leave him so he can kill the other one by being blown up. Very cold, but very cool, right? And Isabel's like, we can't do that, and she basically stays with him and helps him up, and Royce just runs. Well, they get caught in a trap by the big ass Predator, and I mean big. And he pulls them along. Adrian Brody bumps into the old original looking Predator again without his mask on, and he goes, if you take me to the ship, I'll let you go. I'll cut you down. And the Predator's like this, and he goes, you understand me, don't you? And the Predator goes, you know, with his mouth. So he cuts him down. The Predator grabs on him like this, and kind of sniffs him and looks at him like, and then lets him go. Puts on his mask and starts the ship up. So Adrian Brody ends up running towards the ship as the other one turns up, because they're going to fight the 2 Predators. Which is pretty cool, but it looked like 2 overweight people fighting. I tell you what it looked like. It looked like, you know, when you put on those sumo suits and they fight? That's what it looked like, because they kept just bumping into each other. Seriously. So, we're watching them fight. Adrian Brody's running to the ship. He gets to the ship and he looks back. And then you see the ship fly off. Right? And basically, the big Predator kills the little Predator, the original Predator. You see the big Predator's mouth and face, and it's completely different looking. It looks like, I tell you what it looks like. It looks like the alpha male of Predators, like a Hulk Hogan kind of thing, you know, like massive. And his face is like, and it looks bad. I mean, he looks twisted. He looks like the king. You get what I'm saying? Like big, massive, horrible, ugly thing. And it just looks like he's like the king of it because of how horrible he is. You get what I'm saying? Like, how you get the little ones and then you get the big daddies who can kick ass, right? So he's like, and then cuts off the original Predator's head, the original looking Predator's head. And he's like, and he disappears. Well, Edwin goes to Isabel. Would you have picked me up and done it again? She goes, yes. And she says to him, don't worry. if it comes to it, I'll put us both out of it before anything happens. Edwin, being the kind of doctor he apparently is, but it turns out he's a murderer, he cuts her chest with the poison they found earlier on in the film. So she's like getting all paralysed, and he does this speech, like any good villain does. And it's saying like this: on this planet, I'm not a monster, because I'm within the monsters, so I'm a good person. Where I come from, I was a murderer and a scumbag. And you're sitting there going, is he a familiar or something to these people? Because I was like, oh, that would have been good. You know, is he a familiar? You know, kind of like, is he one of their pets? You know. No, he isn't. So while he's doing this, Adrian Brody turns up again. Oh, sorry. The big one sees the thing flying, and he goes like this. And the ship explodes. It goes boom and explodes. And you think Adrian Brody's dead. And at that time, I actually started laughing because I thought that he died. I was like, that would be the typical way for a mercenary in this film to die. Like, kick ass, kills everybody, fantastic, but gets blown up in a ship. That would have been awesome. But anyway, Adrian Brody turns back up, hearing Topher Grace, you know, saying his thing. And then Edwin turns around and says to him, oh, you came back. Oh, you need to help us. She got paralysed by something. So he pulls them up. And you can tell voices like this. So he puts his hand on Isabel and he goes, it's okay. You're always thinking of other people and all this when we get out of here. And Edwin goes to him, she never lost faith in you, Royce. And he pulls out his little blade. And he goes for him, and Royce, and he goes, you're a nice guy, Royce. And he grabs hold of him. He spins around, Royce, stabs him right in through the neck bit there, and says to him, I'm not a nice guy, I'm just quick. And just looks at him so cold-heartedly. I'm like, Adrian Brody, I need to meet you in real life. I need to hug you. I just need to jump up and down around you because this is awesome. You become my new favourite action hero. Right? So he's pulling him along. He's pulling Edwin along, and Edwin goes, don't kill me. Don't kill me. And Wes goes to him, I won't. Because he's like, the Predator will. Right? And he pulls all this stuff around him, and the Predator turns up and stabs Edwin in the back. And he goes, don't kill me. Don't kill me. Turns him around, and it's like 12 grenades on him. I don't know where they got all these grenades from, but apparently it's 12 on him. He explodes. The Predator goes flying, doesn't explode, goes flying, gets up, and there's Royce, topless, with mud all over him, right? That's another thing I liked about this movie. Earlier on, when they get out of the water, Isabella talks about a team who were all killed by a predator, and how one survivor survived because he had mud all over him, and he killed the predator. That way, because Predator couldn't see him. That was a reference to the original Predator film. Just as the original Predator look was on that other Predator, which kind of add that in there. And I was like, this is awesome. Right? And there's another bit where Adrian Brody stabs a scorpion. That's another saying. That's another reference to the original one. Anyway. So he does that and he goes, come on. And they're fighting, right? And he's hitting him across the face and everything. And it gets it. Then the Predator shoots a big rocket and it blows it up, and Adrian Brody can barely move. Isabella can get a little bit of her senses back, you know, like in any action kind of film. Gets her sniper rifle, shoots the Predator. Adrian Brody gets up and starts smacking him, and basically ends up cutting his head off. But what I liked about this was when he cut the Predator's head, it slowly went like this and fell off. It was so cool because it was like, woohoo, you know what I mean? Then he goes up to Isabella and kind of hugs her and stuff. And he goes, my name's Royce. And she goes, my name's Isabel. And you can tell they're kind of building a relationship. And then right at the very end, they like, when they get out of here, you know, it's like daytime now. And they look up and there's all these parachutes falling again. 12 of them, in fact. And it looks like there's 12 more contestants or whatever it is in this thing. Like, as soon as 2 survive or whatever, or the Predators die, more of them turn up. Right? And he says, we've got to get off this island. We've got to find a way off this island. And I'm sitting there, or planet, we've got to find a way of getting off this planet, right? I'm sitting there going, so if that's the case, for when they die, more come down, does that mean that Nolan's thing about the seasons could have been a month? Do you get what I'm saying? So, I have to say, this movie blew my mind. I expected it to be terrible, because I like the original Predator. I'm not too keen on number 2. I mean, number 2's alright, but the bit where they give him the knife is a bit, to me. They should have just killed him. But, you know, anyway, I'll get reviewing them soon. So, there I'm watching this movie, it finishes, the music starts, and I'm dancing around like this. So I'm like, yeah, this is awesome movie. If I'd seen it in the cinema, I'd been screaming, woohoo, yeah, woohoo, yeah. So, yeah, it's a great action horror movie, fantastic. Adrian Brody, the new love of my life. I'm not gay, but if I was, wow, action hero of the century. So cool, you know what I mean? Awesome bloke, awesome actor, and he really plays this role great. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. The 2 people I thought would survive did. I knew Adrian Brody would because he was the main cast member. He's got to be. He's like big, you know what I mean? So yeah, I found all the performances fantastic. I found the Predators to be fun as well to watch. I loved the action in this movie. It was non-stop. Straight from the beginning. It was boom, 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 boom. I liked how it had little jumps in it. I liked how it was like the Predators played the game. Now this made me think about Predator 1. And I was thinking, so this is probably why the the original Predator from 1987, if I'm correct, was killing them off. Because in its mind, it was a game. It kind of, to this movie kind of made me think it's like the origins of that in a way. Not because there's anything from that, but because this is a sequel, obviously. But what it made me think was that Predator probably played this game against humans and other predators and basically ended up playing it on Earth. And it was cool. You know? So I'll definitely recommend Predators. I never thought I'd say that. I thought this movie was going to be horrendous. And I love it. This is now one of my favourite movies of all time. This is going to go in my top 100 list from now on. So yeah, I'm trying to think what else I can say about it. I like how the Predators were different, like I said earlier. They all had different looks to them, and that made it interesting. I like the different cultures, like the Japanese sword fight, the Russian blowing himself up and killing one. You know, it was all like honour and honour. I like that. I thought that was great. I liked the story. The story was great. The characters were awesome. None of them felt bad. You know, I kind of felt bad for Walton Goggins because I kind of felt like he could have done more in the movie. But he had probably the coolest death scene in the movie, getting his spine and skull ripped out. So I just highly recommend this, guys. If you've never watched 2010's Predators, you've got to. It's just an incredible movie. It's just so much fun. You know, I've got to be honest, it made me want to watch the other 2 again, badly, and watch Alien vs Predator 1 and 2. Now, number 1's alright, but number 2 of them movies I've never seen, but I've heard really bad things about. But I just want to watch them now, because I've watched this. And it's like, this is what a movie should do. You watch a movie based on movies that have been around before, it should make you want to watch the older movies. It should bring back the passion. This movie made me passionate about Predators again. So yeah, guys, 5 out of 5. I would give it a 7 out of 5, but I have to stick with my 5 out of 5 because, you know, that's the rules. So 5 out of 5. Highly recommend it, guys. Go out there, buy it. It's cheap now. It's been out since 2010. It won't be expensive. Rent it, watch it. Let me know what you think of Predators. It's amazing. It's incredible. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you think of the movie. Let me know if you've got the movie. And guys, if you haven't, please subscribe because there's a lot more reviews coming. So thanks for watching, guys. And take care and have a lovely day.